It's the 4th of July, and there are a lot of fireworks around here, especially when it comes to the Texans. Let's talk about the 4 firework quotes from CJ Stroud, in which he won over his teammates, the fans, his coaches, and the future. Let's go inside the locker room, special edition, 4th of July.
Locker room, yeah, we in the locker room. Texas talk, yeah, you know what we about to do. Localize, every angle's what we really do. We the source, we the pulse of the city too. Landlocked, got the game in the headlock. Localize every time, can't stop, won't stop. Yeah, we top 2 and we not too plugged in daily.
Nobody likes a really good quote at the podium more than me. And CJ Stroud, from the minute that they finally sent him to the podium last year, he was winning people over. He immediately sounded like an NFL vet. The intangibles, they were clear as day. And in a world and at a position where it can be hard to win over your teammates, it can be hard to win over fans. You're walking into a situation where fans aren't even showing up to games. One of the most dysfunctional organizations in the NFL leading up to when he arrived. I thought there were 4 firework quotes in the spirit of 4th of July. I thought there were 4 firework quotes from CJ Stroud in which he won over multiple layers of what it takes to establish a good organization. Now, perhaps the most important, and you hear this quite often, is winning over your teammates. Now, I don't think CJ Stroud ever had to really try too hard to win over his teammates. I think they immediately bought in and gravitated to his charisma. But I actually think CJ Stroud, sometimes you see a quarterback have a performance and then you hear the broadcasters say, man, he really won over his teammates with that performance. Sometimes it's what you do in victory. Sometimes it's what you do in defeat. And I think against the Indianapolis Colts, I think that was when CJ Stroud really won over his teammates. And those of you that may not remember, it was week 3. Texans were already 0-2. CJ Stroud surprisingly appeared in the injury report. We then found out that most of the offensive line, including Laramie Tunsil, was going to be out. And some people, some really respected people, God bless him, I love Andre Ware, local legend, but they were even saying, why would CJ Stroud want to play? You should sit CJ Stroud out. And he got sacked quite a few times in this game. But after the game, I think this was the moment. And we saw the results afterwards where the Texans followed up that Colts loss and that 0-2 start with a 37-17 win over the Jags when they were a 7-point dog. Then they went to Pittsburgh. They won 30-6. So we saw the immediate reaction from the teammates after the quotes. But this was CJ Stroud, hobbled, had to get to the stadium early. This was CJ Stroud. This is the quote where I feel CJ Stroud won over his teammates even more than he already had, showing that no matter what the situation was, no matter how much from the outside it looked dangerous, he was going to go to bat for his teammates. Here is quote number 1, and we'll do 2 parts of this. CJ Stroud wins over his teammates in defeat and not 100%.
I don't want to give any super specifics, but I mean, I just had a little shoulder pain that I was dealing with, and really just it was hard for me to throw, and I started feeling better. What was that? Friday, and Saturday. We don't throw at all, so that helped. And then this morning, came in really early and just try to fix it and just get anything I can do to play. I wanted to play, and I feel like I did as best as I could with my injury, and I tried to let it fly as much as I could, and still have velocity and accuracy with the ball. But yeah, man, I don't think it really hindered me that much. I think if I were to say that, would be an excuse. But for me, yeah, it was painful.
You were able to throw that. And
Right.
How do you keep your feet controlled throughout the hits throughout the game?
I think trust.
Now, keep in mind, the offensive line got him completely banged up, and these are backup guys. Listen to what he says about his offensive lineman after getting completely roughed up, including thrown down to the ground at the end of the game.
Gotta trust those guys, man. I do. And I think I've showed it because I'm not just running around all the time. I'm only trying to extend plays when I have to. And I definitely think even sometimes I was trying to run around and the looks were there and I just missed the read and come back and do it the next time and get the read. You know what I mean? So it's just a consistent fight every play, and I'm up for the challenge, and those guys are too. And I appreciate those guys, man. It's like even Kendrick, like he comes in and he's been here 2 weeks and he's fighting his tail off. This is a whole new offense for him. Like same thing with George. Like Shaq was our only starter, and you know what I mean. Like JP didn't play all last year really, and was a really good center at college. But this is in college, and he's playing against a really good defensive line 2 weeks in a row. He's fighting his tail off. Josh
His
was
backup
at guard
line
last
here.
week. He moves to left tackle. You know what I mean? Like that's a hard thing to do. It's the NFL. It's the best players in the world every week. Like, you know what I mean? So I don't like. I definitely appreciate those guys, man, because they're fighting. Like they're not just giving up. Because it's easy to put your head down in this league and just turn around and just do whatever. But those guys constantly are looking me in the eye like, man, I got you, and I appreciate that.
I mean, that's just unbelievable right there. And I know that the locker room has bought into, not this locker room, the Texans locker room has always bought into CJ Stroud. But I think that's where you show real character. Because I don't know that too many people would have faulted CJ Stroud for not playing that week. He gets to the stadium early, he plays his heart out, he plays behind a backup offensive line, he gets roughed up, he goes up there, and he's keeping his poise as a leader of the franchise. And I think these quotes are important because we actually have substance to them, because we saw after this, CJ Stroud and the Texans, they win 2 games, including on the road against Jacksonville and then at home against Pittsburgh. So we saw the actual response to these quotes. So that's firework quote number 1, when CJ Stroud won over his teammates even more so than he already had. Firework quote number 2, the fans. This is perhaps, and I heard Parker McCollum on the Pat McAfee show mention this. A lot of athletes, they separate themselves from fans. They almost look down on fans. Whenever fans are loving up on them, it's awesome, it's glorious. You're taking the perks, you're taking it all in. But whenever they start bashing them, it's, well, you can't do what I do. You're just a fan. You don't know. The fact that CJ Stroud is a sports fan and he can relate with the pain that Houston Texans fans have gone through, I thought this was the quote that got the fans the most excited last year. And this is, when it comes to fireworks, this is probably the grand finale. This is the big cake. The previous one is the artillery shells. This is the big cake right here. This is CJ Stroud winning over the fans. This is after the Pittsburgh game. A lot of Steelers fans in the stands. J.J. Watt inducted. This was the quote, perhaps, of all of 2023. And this is where the fans really, really started feeling their quarterback.
I want to say, man, and I've been thinking about this for a long time. Y'all deserve to feel special. Y'all deserve to root the Texans on. Like, not winning since 2021, I think it was around Christmas, like that ain't flying from like anybody in this building. I want them to know, like, we're flying our tails off every day to make sure y'all walk around with Texan gear pride. Like, y'all walk around with that swag that we walk around with when we get a dub. And for me, I take that real personal, because I don't like being bagged on by my teams. Like, when my Lakers lose, I'll be pissed. So, so like, I'll take that stuff real serious, man. And it's up to us to work every day and put the work in. And like you've seen, I mean, the Steelers fan came and they showed out today in our stadium, and we sent them home. And I think our fans felt the energy. Like, man, we ain't playing today, like from the get go. So I just want to say, man, like, we're gonna keep fighting every day, just so y'all can walk around with that swag. I think that's huge, man, for this team. That's something that we want to keep building on. And it's a blessing to be able to be in Houston, like a great town with a lot of stuff to do, great people, Southern hospitality to its finest. And I'm falling in love with the city little by little. So it's a blessing.
So there you go. I mean, that's the fans right there. I mean, he's not separating himself. He's relating. He's understanding the pain that you've been through. That's firework quote number 2. And that's the finale right there. I mean, that one's just absolutely beast mode. Happy 4th of July to you, whatever you're going to do. I think I'm going to drink a lot of beer tonight, today. Been doing that in June. June's always the slow time. Been doing that quite a lot. Poor CJ pissed like 60 times this year with the Lakers. We got the Laker jokes going through. Firework quote number 3. It is a locker room special July 4th live edition. Quote number 3, Stroud wins over his coaches. And I thought this was really, really cool, because sometimes players go up to the podium, they call out their coaches, and it's almost like eliminating accountability for yourself. And then sometimes you see there's kind of like a downward spiral. Sometimes you see players go up to the podium and they defend their coaches when they don't deserve to be defended. See Deshaun Watson 2020 against the Chiefs in the divisional round. He goes up there and defends Bill O'Brien, who, I mean, had a terrible offensive game plan. The offense completely crumbled. It was one-dimensional. It was gutless. It was scary. And Deshaun goes up there and defends a guy that really didn't need to be defended. CJ Stroud, after winning those consecutive games against the Jags and the Steelers, the Texans kind of seesawed. And then coming off the bye, they had a loss to the Carolina Panthers, perhaps the worst loss of the season last year for the Texans. And after the game, CJ Stroud, he went up to the podium and he questioned Bobby Slowick's conservative play calling. He said that they needed to take more shots. And this is what CJ had to say. And I think based on not just the quote, but what we saw afterwards, this was where CJ Stroud really, really won over his coaches and gained their trust.
They just made plays. I fly through the ball well. And they made some plays, and they were sitting there trying to knock down the short stuff. And but no, it didn't mess me up much.
What do you feel like happened on the third and final game?
I mean, I could have swore I've seen it set go down to 2. At 1, I snapped it, and they called it. So I mean, I'm a player. I can't go back and try to combat that. I mean, that's a play. I mean, that's a penalty that right when it happens. So I mean, we got to get better. In and out the huddle, I got to spit the plays out better and snap the ball. But I mean, the motion was so long, and it's tough to have that type of motion and such a long drive just because guys are tired and stuff. So I got to send them quicker and be better there. But I thought I got it off. But I mean, it is what it is.
The locker room surprisingly upbeat right now after a tough loss. And they're saying it's because they know that a lot of football left you better than what you showed today. You just talk about like the mentality of the team despite a tough loss.
Yeah, I mean, what's the point of holding your head down? Of course, you're not happy about it, but we're not that type of team that's just going to tuck our shell and not have swag and confidence no more just because we took a L. But I feel like, I mean, we've showed our potential. We're going to keep doing it. I think next week is really big for us. I think we have Tampa Bay, and that's a really good defense and a good challenge for us. And we got to go back to work and practice really good. And I think now we got the bye week jitters out, and now it's time to play some real ball because, I mean, now it's going into division play and things like that. So we got to be a lot better.
CJ, you mentioned a lot about the potential that you guys have. What do you think has been the biggest issue in terms of being able to consistently get that potential?
I mean, you can point the finger everywhere, but I mean, me personally, I point the thumb. I'm not saying that I'm playing terrible, but I'm not making the plays I want to make. And sometimes, I mean, it's just I have to take what's there. A lot of teams are being smart and playing back. And even when I do take the check down, and this team was knocking it down, and I thought we could have got some first from that. But I mean, it is what it is. But I mean, I feel like the talent we have, man, we got to use it.
Here you go.
And we got to be explosive like we want to be. And that starts up front running the ball. I think those guys did a good job there. But on top of that, we got to take some shots. We got to be more explosive and do some things down the field. We can't just let people dictate what we do just because we're not throwing the ball short. And I mean, that's me getting more trust from the coaches and the guys getting their depth in their routes. And so it's a whole team thing. But man, I definitely think we have the talent to be explosive. And I think we've shown, man, we're, if not a top 5 defense, top 10, I mean, top 5 offense, top 10 offense. I mean, we've showed it and we can do it. We just got to go out there and call it and run it and execute. So
call it, run it, and execute. And that's calling out the offensive coordinator right there. And I think that's and we ended up seeing the next week against Tampa Bay. Now, obviously, the situations with Fairbairn going down and not having a kicker, they could have had a little bit of dictating of what happened with the game plan. But we saw Bobby Slowick trust in CJ Stroud a lot more after that. And I thought that was important. And you had Bobby Slowick go up there and say, I agree with him. And the next week against Tampa Bay, career high in passing. Obviously, the game dictated that, but 470 yards, 5 touchdowns. AFC Offensive Player of the week. So you saw the immediate response, and a lot of people point to that as the moment that Bobby Slowick started trusting CJ Stroud. Again, it's one thing to say it, but when we see the substance, when we see CJ Stroud go up there and battle in a losing effort, and then his teammates respond by winning the next 2 games against the Jags and Steelers, that's substance. When we see what he said about the fans and the understanding, and then all of a sudden the atmosphere in the stadium gets better, that's substance. When we see him go up there and call out the offensive game plan, and then the game plan changes and there's trust, that's, wait for it, substance. Firework quote number 4. Appreciate everyone for coming through. Happy 4th of July to all. Make sure you swarm that like button. The final one is just the message for the future. And this was in defeat as well. Baltimore Ravens, they started the season, the Texans season with an L. They ended the Texans season with an L. This was CJ Stroud's message for the future. Firework quote number 4. We've seen the teammates, the fans, the coaches. Here's the future. This is just the entire league and a message for where the Texans are headed.
Yeah, I think coming in, maybe guys didn't know what it looked like to win or the standard, and I think D'Amico set that at a high level of expectation. I did the same. I hope of just every day at practice, working my tail off, film, sending guys clips, like just little stuff I can do to set a standard. This is what it takes to win. And I mean, all in all, we won a lot of games. So I think that like set a great foundation for like the standard. If guys coming back, new guys coming in, like, this is what we're gonna do. Like, either you join or like it is what it is. You know, you got to be professional about that. So I think we set a great foundation. Sorry.
There you go. That's CJ Stroud right there, talking about the future. It's substance. It's 4th of July, fireworks, quotes, all that. A little bit of cheese and a little bit of substance. Don't know if people like cheese on their hot dogs. Do you like cheese on your hot dogs? Not really me. Ketchup, mustard, relish. That's it. Plain hot dog guy, can't really get down with you. Appreciate everyone for coming through. Be sure to subscribe, like, ride along. Special edition of The Locker Room, July 4th. We're 2 weeks away from camp. Got some exciting stuff lined up. Be sure to ride along. We've been doing this less than 2 years. It's only going to get better. Digital game going crazy around here. Happy 4th of July to you. I'll talk to you later. Thanks for coming through in The Locker Room.
On YouTube, we got taste for days, opinions to give, we got takeaways. If it's up, then it's up. We number 1. You don't need to try your luck. Locker room, yeah, we in the locker room. Texas talk, yeah, you know what we about to do. Localize, every angle's what we really do. We the source, we the pulse of the city too.